made it, made it. I can't walk the line, 'cause I'm faded, faded.
So this is finally happening.
Yep, we're here.
It's been like, okay, I wrote this down 9 weeks ago.
What? No.
Nine weeks ago, you're like, yeah, let's podcast.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was 9 weeks ago.
Everything's just a blur. I feel like it was like 2 weeks ago.
No, 2 weeks ago, I actually saw you in person.
Dude, what?
That was 3 weeks ago. No, wait. Yeah, 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, I saw you in person. So.
Oh my God. I'm about to go into another existential crisis.
There's no need to be existential.
I
You have
can't
plenty of in-person crises.
But what is person and what is not?
Okay. Yeah, no. You're gonna start. Don't start arguing simulation this early. I can't handle that yet.
Okay.
All right. Well, Closet of Nonsense, season 3. You are the season opener.
Wow.
Well, we spent a whole lot of time prepping for this, and this is ironic because I have episodes 2, 3, and 5 already recorded.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to put that together in my mind right
Well,
now.
it would try to explain it to Jobin or Skylar. Because they literally like, wait, but how do we have, and you did what?
I feel like this is like a Star Wars thing. Like
Yeah, basically, I'm creating backstory for my own podcast, which is getting really fucking weird. So first and foremost, do we just call you Ritual?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, is that just the easiest way to do it? Because seriously, okay, I know that you've like argued and fought with yourself on this, but seriously, the name Ritual Suicide, come on, is there a cooler name?
I know. No,
Yeah.
probably not. I mean, that's pretty dark, as you said.
Yeah, I like it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it a lot. So, okay, let's see. You've been on this podcast before, and we've discussed the huge change of the first one is about you moving to Hollywood and dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one was living in Hollywood and dealing with your identity crisis.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're living back in Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a whole new set of identity crisis.
Life is just one long identity crisis, isn't it?
Well, okay. As a performer, as an artist, we identify with a persona.
Yeah.
Okay, so your persona has changed with your lifestyle. It has changed with your musical taste. It has changed with your relationship status. What's changing it now?
I think not living in Hollywood anymore has changed it. I think going to therapy and diving deep into my life patterns has changed it. I think breaking free of a lot of like high controlled groups that I was in has changed it, and really just being able to sit in Colorado with the quiet and think about what I really like. Like, I don't think I've really ever done that before. It's always been, what should I like so I fit in, or what should I show that I like so that other people will like what I like. It was always just about everything besides what I truly like. So, I would say that that's really changed my identity at this point.
Well, I think that there's all of that is true, but there's also like one other big thing that I think that you kind of it's become so much a part of you. I don't think you notice it, but you're a mom.
I'm a MILF now.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and that this is the thing. I remember you being so scared. I feel really, really lucky, and I don't know how if I'm okay to even say this, but I'm one of the first people you told.
Yeah.
And I had to hold that secret for a fucking long time, and I'm not good at that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm good at keeping secrets when it's like dark shit or like I don't want anybody to know because I'm embarrassed. But when it's good news, I have a really hard time holding on to that. Like it's really fucking tough for me. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. But one of the big things that I look at with that is that you were so scared.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck this up and I don't know how to do this and what am I supposed to do? And I went, nobody knows.
Yeah.
My oldest is 21 years old. I still panic every fucking day about making a mistake with him.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away.
Oh, thank you. That's really reassuring.
You call my dad. My dad is, I mean, can you imagine being my parents?
No, I can't.
I
I
mean,
can only imagine.
you don't want to imagine. That's like a horror story in a sci-fi flick and like some kind of weird like yeah, it's a bad 80s movie with a horrible ending that probably starred Scott Baio or something. It's a bad idea being my parents. So I'm lucky that my dad's not only still in my life, but like my staunchest supporter.
Yeah.
But that's just it. Is I mean, and you know, I'm 43, and my dad still every once in a while just shakes his head and like, man, how are you still alive? I don't know. But that's the beauty of it is that you learn that and become such a part of who you are. And it's
Yeah.
hard. Okay, addiction is the same thing, and I know you really okay. When you're talking to a person about addiction, unless you've been there, you can't relate.
Right.
Parenthood's the same thing.
Yeah.
You think
I
you get it until you're actually a parent, and you're like, oh shit, oops.
yeah, totally. As my child screams in the
Yeah,
background.
it's all right. Your child has a metal scream, and I like it.
Yeah, she's preparing for her future in a death metal band.
Yeah. Well, she has excellent taste in music, so that helps. Seriously though, like how much of you being a parent, because I know you felt for a while like it was holding you back, but how much
Mhm.
do you really view it now, like as a strength?
Um, it's definitely made me a stronger person. My, I mean, in a lot of ways, the first thing that comes to mind is like my bullshit tolerance meter is like there is no tolerance anymore. I think especially having a daughter, a little girl, and seeing, through my eyes, just a female, bringing a female into the world. I think we talked about it before. Like it was the universe is like, haha, here you go. Here's your karma. Just because everything, I didn't really have parents that influenced my life in a positive way. I saw a lot of shit I didn't want to be. So I think that's what was so scary about being a parent to me. But I feel like being able to guide a little girl and just it's made me change a lot of the things that I tolerate. Like I don't tolerate men treating me like shit. I don't tolerate um bullshit. Like, I'm rambling here, but it's changed a lot.
I don't
And
view it as rambling. It's a tough time to bring a girl into the world in the
yeah,
United
tell me
States.
about it.
It's a tough time. We live in a sad state of affairs in the United States right now, and you know, I've always joked that when I had daughters, it was the first time I understood that whole like take your daughter, put her in a tower, guard it with the fucking dragon, and I mean I get it,
Mhm.
but even more so now, like my heart aches because there's so many rights and so many things that are being taken away from women in this country that I just don't feel okay about it. And
Yeah.
I look at particularly my youngest daughter who's just kind of coming into her own and she's struggling with it. She's struggling with the idea of, you know, she has me who I'm not her dad, but I'm the dad she's known. Her mom who's openly bisexual and has been in relationships equally with men and women and has been okay with that, and now there's so many situations that she looks at just that just that stigma of having this exploded family, and now she has her own personal relationships and future and sexual identity and things to consider. I hate it. And I just but I'm not in a position. I'm one of those people that I don't feel like I have any right to even talk about it because I have
Mm.
a penis.
Well, the fact that you advocate for women and their autonomy, it is a lot. It sets you apart from a lot of dudes. And I think that I would like to hope, I mean, my scope of pe men that I keep in my life are like people like you, which are people that advocate for women's strength and autonomy. So I would like to think that more men are getting on board with like empowering females. I would like to think that. I just
I,
that's
I I I wish that were true. And to be fair, there's a few people that I didn't expect. People that very conservative friends of mine, people that are like, holy shit, this is backwards, this is wrong. Um, Particularly Roe versus Wade.
mm,
They're pissed, and there's people that I didn't expect to be upset. I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. Like, but there's other people that they don't care.
yeah.
And I guess that's the thing. Like, I remember during the last election, I was watching, and of course, I guess I should preface this. I When I do talk politics on podcasts in particular or anything, everybody thinks they understand. I'm this bleeding heart liberal, or I'm this, and they don't get that there's some things I'm very conservative on. There's some things I'm very liberal on. There's some things where I'm like, I don't feel like I've earned the right to have an opinion yet. Um, that's just how it is. So for me, it's everything is very situational,
Yeah.
and even that can go like there's a gray area in every situation. So I remember during the last major election watching people just not give a shit and then be mad about the outcome, or even just the people who were kind of like openly racist and openly misogynistic and sexist. I was like, why is this being tolerated? How is this okay? And then you watch it again now, what's gone on. It's like it's how are people not staying angry
Right.
and
Yeah.
staying aware? And how is it that we have so many people that just don't seem to, oh, it doesn't affect me, so I don't care.
Ugh, I know. Yeah.
I mean, to me, that feels like this idea of if I ignore it long enough, it'll fix itself.
Well, yeah, I think that there used to be that phrase of like ignorance is bliss, and I think maybe it served a purpose at one point, but it's not anymore because the more we stay ignorant, the less or the more slowly things are going to change. It's not bliss because it's gotten to the point where ignorance has gotten out of hand and now there's people suffering the consequences of it. So it's not bliss anymore. And it's like if, if the water starts or if the rainforest starts to get chopped down for a minute, like, yeah, maybe it's like creating some good, perceived good, but like eventually it's going to get out of hand and the rainforests are going to be gone. Like people need balance. People need balance and awareness more
Yeah.
than ever. It's like and it starts with us, I think, it starts with being balanced and being aware and not being afraid to stand up for what you believe in a time where like cancel culture is such a thing. Like you say one thing that you believe in, and if people don't agree with you, they cancel the shit out of you. I think that needs to stop. I think people need to be brave and open enough to have debates. And that's what I think.
Well, I guess my problem with that is I've never believed that ignorance was bliss. I don't like the rose-colored glasses attitude. And I don't know if that's just because I'm such a negative asshole, or because I'm jaded, or because I've just always kind of been able to see through it. I don't know
Yeah.
what, I don't remember a time when I ever just wanted to believe in the good in things. I always want to believe in the truth of things.
Mhm.
And that isn't to say that I don't believe in, I mean, obviously, we've talked, how many times we've talked about the paranormal or the extraterrestrial or the different things. I mean, things that we can't prove that I very much believe in because of personal witness or experience.
Right.
Obviously, there's that. But ignorance, I've defined as the willful inability to learn. It's where you're deciding not to know any better.
Yeah, it's in the word ignore.
Yeah. And for me, there's so much misinformation. What district are you in down there in the Springs? Is Lauren Boebert your representative too?
Honestly, it's bad, but I'm not sure because I just moved here a few months ago.
Okay. Well, the difference in how I watched, and obviously I watch her because she's a rep, and I'm embarrassed to admit to that, but I have watched the way she markets in Grand Junction. And then when I was down there a few weeks ago, when we were supposed to shoot and you got so sick, I went to Pueblo, and her marketing down there, her at, and I call it marketing because it's not campaigning, it's marketing. It's so different.
Really?
She picked a target market and went, well, here I look hot and sexy, and I'm a gun wielding hot girl that's from this area. And then down there, it's I'm gonna be there for you, and I'm gonna represent you properly. And it's all misinformation. It's all this packaged lie. I mean, and when we have, the Ted Cruzes of the world running our country, it's to me like those kinds of things. The fact that there are still people in this country that believe the big lie, that believe that the last election was stolen.
Yeah.
But go back 20 years. You want to talk about a stolen election? Al Gore and George W. Bush. That was an actual stolen election. And the country just kind of lived with it. Because, oh, well, we don't know how to fix it. But because somebody who's a television star, because honestly, that's what Trump is, he's a TV star. He's not a politician. He found a way to get everybody riled up and kind of, in some ways, this sounds fucked up, but I'm kind of grateful because it pointed out to a lot of people, like, as much as we felt better in the late 90s and the early aughts about racial equality and how far we'd come and all these things, Trump proves we didn't know. We haven't come far at all. We're still right at the verge of segregation.
If not worse.
If not worse, because now it's like, well, I feel like I can't even talk about it because of cancel culture, because of people being afraid to speak their mind. Yeah. And I've always said, like, I've had friends who are skinheads. And there are things I will not tolerate that you talk about to me. Does that mean that I can't have a conversation with that person?
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not. I mean, if I'm discussing who has a better cheesesteak, I don't care who it comes from. I want to know who's eating the damn cheesesteak. It's situational. And I guess that's been my biggest thing with living as I mean, let's be honest. Yes, I'm Hispanic, but I'm Caucasian. I mean, I am. My dad is in some ways the epitome of white privilege. But then you look at my mom, who was raised in California, very Hispanic, grew up that way. I've seen both sides of that culture. I've experienced some racism in my life, very small amounts. I can't imagine what it's like to be born into that and try and create an identity forever, not just for yourself, but for your children.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
And I think that we're missing that. I think a lot of celebrities are missing that. I think a lot of people who are in a position where they should be advocating and should be speaking up and should be speaking on a positive platform, they're just not.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing is, like, if you have a voice, literally, like, some people don't. Like, people that can't advocate for themselves need someone to advocate for them. That's how we change things. And that's the definition of live and let live, like, no one's living if there's some people that are not being advocated for. I remember when, like, Black Lives Matters was starting to, like, be a bigger force, and I was living in LA, and I remember having conversations with people who, were in the entertainment industry, and they were like, I don't like this Black Lives Matters movement because I think all lives matter. I'm like, yeah, but Black lives were marginalized and are marginalized to this day, and I think, like, even saying the word Black, people didn't want to say it because it made them uncomfortable. And it's like, we need to bring light to these marginalized groups if anything's going to change, because before we can all be one, everyone needs a voice first. Otherwise, no one's going to be equal.
Well, equality in itself is a pipe dream.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, that's why communism doesn't work. That's why, I mean, we are, what in the ever fuck are you drinking?
Sludge.
I mean, holy crap. I love that you're drinking it right out of the blender thing, too. That's commitment right there. Like, fuck this. I'm not dirtying another glass. I'm just flipping it over, pulling the blades off, and sucking it down.
Sorry.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. I'm over here
It's
sucking down, I think, my 12th cup of coffee. So, and I got a Mountain Dew ready to go because the coffee's out. So, you be healthy. I'll be caffeinated. We're somewhere in the middle. We'll be all right.
Yeah.
No, the biggest thing, especially with Black Lives Matter, is a great example. In areas where people were most upset about that were the areas where they didn't realize they were the problem.
Right.
Those are the problem areas. Hollywood,
Mm.
Portland, Seattle, places that you would think, oh no, it's equal here. It's equal. No. If anything, this proves it's the farce. It's the imaginary force field that we're creating on television that it's equal.
Right.
Racism is taught.
Yeah.
If you grab a bunch of babies under a year old and you throw them in, they don't give a shit
Right.
about skin color or any of that. They don't even care about sex. They literally just like, do you have a toy that I want, or do you have a bottle that I want? And that's really what it boils down to.
Right.
It's the simple, basest human emotions. And if we actually looked at our children and learned from that, but no, we got to teach them other ways.
Yeah, and that makes me want to full circle into the first question you asked, which was like, how has having a child changed me or made me stronger? And it's like what I learned from my kid. I feel like, she's only 15 months old, but I've already learned so much from her, and she can't even talk yet. I've learned more about humanity and patience and letting things just like filter through me like a conduit versus like letting everything be a source of reaction. And back to that, just like, what world do I want my kid to grow up in? And I want it to be a world that's full of just acceptance and love. I took my child to Pride a few days ago, and like, I grew up in a very Christian family that, demonized anyone who was part of the LGBTQ community. And so there's been a lot of like pain and trauma that came from that, and watching like my closest friends, my trans friends and my gay best friend, like, I don't want my kid to ever see hatred in those realms. Just,
Well, but I know you've taken that next level, in that you've done one of the hardest things is you've cut off some family and friends because of things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to.
We have to, because if I've learned one thing in therapy over the past few years, it's that changing someone's core belief is one of the hardest things to do. And I just don't have the energy these days to like sit there and try to convince someone over and over and over again that they should just accept people for being themselves.
Well, the thing is, it shouldn't be our job.
I know.
Like I guess I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired of fucking arguing with people when they really just, there is no, and with some people, they're worth the fight.
Mm-hmm.
They're worth the fight, but because they're so on that edge of seeing the truth or seeing the light or understanding something. But most people are locked in. And back in the dark ages, when I was a corporate banker and shit, I used to talk about this all the time to families, is that who's your insurance agent? Who's your banker? Who's your doctor? And it's like, well, whoever my parents told me.
Mm.
Why the fuck would you do that?
Right.
That never made any sense to me. Like, of course, I also live, because I'm in that weird gap between the .comers and the millennials and everything, where we lived at an age where it's like, we turned 18 and basically it was like, oh, you're sick? I hope I don't die because I don't know how to call a doctor.
Yeah.
Now you can go online, but back then it was like you literally had to like use the yellow pages and like research, and most of us couldn't afford phone lines, and yeah, it was stupid. So there's a way. I look at that now and it sounds really ridiculous, but it's the truth. I mean, I think I went like 6 years not seeing a dentist simply because I didn't know how to get a hold of one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I relate. I can relate.
It's just like dumb shit like that. I don't know. I've also, though, I'm watching people now because there is so much misinformation or false information or marketable information that people are falling for the same old traps and the same old, oh, it's got to be the best. It's the shiniest.
Yeah.
I mean, that's happening a ton. So I guess that all kind of like ties back in to the same bullshit. I guess I don't understand why. And this is just something that I've developed myself. Like, I don't feel that it is my obligation to change a person,
Yeah.
but it is still my duty to change a view around me.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
Like I will, you can think your own thing, but if I see an injustice, I'm gonna step in.
Oh, yeah.
Like I can't help it. Even if it's just me making a snarky comment, 9 times out of 10, it's just me being a fucking sarcastic piece of shit. That's what it is. But there's a reason comedians have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's because that sarcasm makes people go, wait, what?
Right.
Is that real?
Right. I
You
know.
know?
I feel like I get most of my like real information from comedians.
Well, I remember Jon Stewart, and there was a movie made about it, about the same concept with Robin Williams as the star, and it was brilliantly done. Where people really wanted Jon Stewart to step up and leave the Daily Show and actually be a politician, run for some major office. And I remember thinking, God, that's a horrible idea, but there would never in the history of the United States been more honesty in office.
Yeah.
Because comedy is pretty honest.
Right.
I was watching a Russian comedian last night, and he was joking. He's literally like, the thing that kills me about how everybody looks at everybody else, he goes, is you look at it based on what you perceive as a good thing. Italian food must be fantastic because the rest of the world just completely ignores they were Nazis.
Wow.
And he just said it, and everybody laughed, and then he just kept looking at everybody, and they got quiet. And he goes, "See what I mean?" It was great, and it was the whole thing. The whole thing started, and the reason I was watching him, he can't go home. He doesn't believe in the Russian war, so he won't go home. And he goes, "My whole family's cut me off. I'm basically stuck five and diming it here, cracking jokes to you people, so I can eat."
Wow.
Hoping for asylum.
Mm.
And he didn't say where he was, but I mean, it was obviously English speaking, but it was one of those, like, it was pretty interesting, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. And I understand Will Smith's a difficult concept right now. People don't like talking about him, but The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was one of the most honest views into that show was so far ahead of its time and nobody realized it at the time.
Mm.
Because there were some things there that for the first time there were middle Americans, particularly people my age, who saw what it was like to try and be black and be in an affluent neighborhood and still deal with the same bullshit.
Wow. Yeah.
That was in the 90s.
Right.
Way ahead of its time.
Mm.
So I guess I'm trying to find, if I see something, those shows, those things, those people, if I see something that I view as wrong, I feel like I have to step in, even if it's just making a comment.
Well, thank God people like you exist because it makes me think, when we're kids and we stand up to bullies or we stand up for the underdog in school, like everyone's so proud of us, but it seems like the older we get, if we stand up for someone who's, being treated like shit, it's not as accepted. It's almost like, oh, who are you to stand up for someone? Or it's
The world
not.
needs more Neville Longbottoms
Oh my God, I can't think of who that is.
from Harry Potter. Neville Longbottom. He's the for one, best transformation of a human being, because he went from a goofy looking kid to a pretty attractive dude. For one, he really did. His glow up was pretty fucking spectacular. So I'll give him credit there. But the thing about Neville Longbottom that everybody just kind of misses is that from the very first Harry Potter book and movie to the very end, he's everybody's conscience.
Wow, I need to
really
watch
is.
Harry Potter again.
Well, in the first one, he stands up to his friends because he's like, "You're going to get us in trouble again," and and Hermione ends up freezing him, and so he doesn't get to stop them from going and causing more problems, which ultimately they solve a problem. So it's good that but he tried because he didn't want everybody to suffer for their bullshit. And in the very end, the thing that a lot of people miss in those is that Neville kills the last Horcrux. Not Harry, not Hermione, not Ron. Neville.
Wow.
Kills the last Horcrux, allowing Harry to win.
Wow.
And he's the one who stands up to Voldemort. He's the one who does the speech in the fucking courtyard saying, "Yeah, people die every day. It doesn't give us an excuse to not continue fighting for the right thing because it's the right thing, regardless of what we lose."
Right. Love that.
If we had 10,000 more people on this planet like Neville Longbottom, the whole world would be a better place.
Yeah.
I mean, goofy motherfucker, but inherently very good. And I mean, I have some personal heroes that I don't talk about very often, but it's the same thing. Like if you could meet one person from history that truly you felt not necessarily influenced you, but changed your view on something, alive or dead, who would it be?
Oh shit, that's a hard question. Oh, there's so many people that I would want to meet. I mean, there's someone that I want to meet that's still alive.
Or you can say it.
Oh, does that count if they're still alive?
Of course.
Okay, RuPaul.
Okay, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah, I just think that RuPaul, I mean, just watching RuPaul's Drag Race, I've always been accepting of everyone in the LGBTQ community. I'm pansexual, but just growing up in a Christian household, there was internalized homophobia that I don't even want to admit that I had, but I think a lot of people that grow up in Christian homes and dogmatic religious homes deal with this. And I think just watching RuPaul's Drag Race has helped me see how human everyone really is. And
Absolutely.
It's healed me. It's healed me of a lot of that shit that I was taught. And RuPaul just creates this beautiful platform of just liberation and gives people a voice that didn't. And the world should have more RuPauls too. Yeah, I was watching, there's a new season out. It's All Stars, all winners. So RuPaul takes winners from other like All Stars seasons and they're all on one episode. So it's like there's no drama. It's all very high caliber people. And on the last episode, they usually win like $10,000 if they win a contest. And last week the winner chose a charity and RuPaul donated $30,000 to that charity, and then they picked like 6 other charities and donated $10,000 each. And it was like charities for Planned Parenthood was one of them, and there was another charity where they donate like tampons to people that can't go to school because they can't afford feminine items. Like it was these very like marginalized, areas that they were sending money to, and I'm like, wow, I love that. And it wasn't like a big deal. It was like, yeah, we're just gonna send them some money. Like they didn't make it super flashy or anything like that. I just really love people that use their platform to make change in the world. Like, why have a platform if you're not going to do that?
Yeah. Well, there's people that use charity for tax write-offs or to make themselves. I mean, don't show the video of you giving sandwiches to the homeless. Just go fucking do it.
Right.
You don't need to put that on and that like that attitude actually ruined a very good friendship of mine. I have a friend that I have not spoken to in years simply because she turned her charity work for the homeless into a publicity stunt, and I just can't. I have a hard time forgiving that.
The only time I think it's okay is if the underlying tone is not like, look what I'm doing, I'm such a good person.
If you're shining light on something, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you're making yourself the focus, no.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I understand making it public if the attention's not on the person doing it, because it shows other people that it's cool and it's good to go out into the community and help others, but it shouldn't be like a holier than thou stunt, in my opinion.
Well, too often that's exactly what it is. It's a stunt. It's a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
And I can't. And when you're watching large organizations shy away from that more and more, I think that's I think we'll see less and less of that. I mean, even the Roman Catholic Church is kind of like backing away from the pomp and circumstance and kind of being like, wait, we need to reset some things. That says some shit.
Yeah.
It took them a couple thousand years to catch up to society, but they're trying. When people are actually stepping up and taking that larger role, I think that the individual taking advantage of look how great I am will go away.
Yeah.
We're still far away from it, but I think it's lessening.
Yeah. I'd like to think that humanity as a whole is evolving. That's my hope at the end of the day.
It
And
is, but evolution isn't always forward. It's not always progress. You got to remember that.
well, yeah, I just hope that there is more progress. I feel like a lot of enlightened people, and this is just my perception. I mean, there's a million, but I've noticed that a lot of enlightened people that I view as enlightened are having babies right now. And I don't know how vast that is, but I would like to think that there's more babies being born into families that are like progressive in a positive direction and that are going to be raised in that. Hopefully, yielding more Neville Long bussies.
No, and I hope that's the case. I'm a negative Nancy, and I tend to think that
Yeah, I hope. All I can do is hope and live that way, right? It's like rebellious to live that way right now. It gives me anxiety.
well, yeah, but okay. Turning that, you talk about anxiety. You talk about you. Of course, I follow you on every fucking platform ever on all your various identities, and you have this underlying posting positivity.
Yeah.
And there are days where I've spoken to you, and I know you're miserable and pissed off and scared and anxious, and yet you're still sticking to the I'm posting positive. I'm still doing like. Is that more for your own benefit, or is that just because that's what you want to put out there? Or is it both?
It's both. I think that honestly, I'm afraid these days to post certain things about, freeing your mind or thinking outside the box or thinking for yourself or being positive because it's such a time where it's not celebrated. It's like kind of what we were talking about earlier, having an opinion can set you up to be stoned pretty much or burned at the stake. Like I don't know if I was a witch in my past life, but I have this underlying like anxiety that I'm going to be burned at the stake for just existing in many different realms because there are many facets to my identity that to I think an average civilian they wouldn't think that those things can coexist together. And all I can do is be positive and live my truth. And some days those messages are more messages for me that I just like to put out there. But I want to spread that message to others also.
Which I mean, that's a good thing. No matter what, that's a good thing. I don't know. One of the things that you posted yesterday, is it's a repost, the microdosing eternity by being present in each moment.
Yeah.
We had that conversation a week ago. Where sometimes just thinking about yourself and thinking about what you're doing is like being really, really, really high. And then recognizing that is it real? Is it not real? Is it? And I don't know. To most people, they would look at that and be like, "Huh, that's kind of funny."
Mm-hmm.
But I know you.
Yeah.
And I know that that's a very literal statement.
Yeah, and the person I reposted that from, I think it was the Country Clairvoyant, it's a Instagram account that I follow, which I love because kind of like the comedy thing, they post a lot of like esoteric wisdom, but they do it in a funny way. So I think it's more palatable to people. That I think he said something once like, if you're not sitting back and watching the wind blow through the trees, what are you even doing? And I'm like, that's hilarious. Like, but it's a reminder to be present. But people can palate things, I think, more easily when there's humor behind it. So So I'm really loving that right now. And yeah, I mean, oh my God, talking about being present and what's real and what's not. I just did a 3-hour course on Gestalt psychology and the concept that like how it ties into still frame like cartoons. It's like at what rate do we perceive reality? And like what what is it like? I could go deep into this, but for the sake of your listeners, I don't know if we should go there.
Okay, but I will take this. I will actually take one step because I've studied that myself. One of the things that got me about that is the idea of single frame and capturing moments and how we perceive. Perception now is so much faster. That is actually, in my opinion, why attention spans are so much shorter now.
Yeah.
Because everything's coming at us faster.
Right. I mean, do you think anyone's listening to this point in our conversation?
There will be some, I guarantee you. Actually, have you seen the Hulk movie with Eric Bana?
No.
And okay, one of the things that they did with that is they filmed that in my opinion in a very comic booky way, where there would be like, here's your main screen, and then it would shrink down into the corner, and they'd bring another one up, and then it would be showing both things at the same time, and then you'd have another cutscene come in, and they would take over. It was like watching a comic book in live action.
Wow.
And that movie tanked at the box office, but has done very, very well in Netflix and Amazon and things like that to a younger audience, because it was filmed in a way that it keeps them constantly looking around the screen and, oh, what's this, and oh, what's that, and that was two things, and pause that and go back and what happened here, I was watching here. And you know, my 16-year-old daughter with Down syndrome will sit and have her phone, her tablet, the TV, all of it going at once while she's drawing or something like that, and she's completely content. And people look over at me doing the same thing, where I've got the computer, the TV, and music, phone, I'm having internet, and they're like, oh my God, you're like doing too much, what are you doing? She's doing the same shit, but it's normal for a kid, and it's because it stresses me out. And she's just like, this is just who I am. Thing that has changed, and that is, in some ways, that's evolution.
Yeah.
Forced evolution. In the last 25 years, things have changed so drastically that I don't think anyone realizes.
Yeah.
Because technology is just going so damn fast. I mean, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
But our reactions to technology and our reactions to access, I mean, we've talked about it a million times. Once you get to a certain level in the music world or in the acting world or in the modeling world or whatever, it becomes a very small world. Because you can talk to somebody in London and, you know, Germany and India all in the same day, where that used to be like a huge process. Now it's almost instant. And I think that has shrunk the world down to a much more manageable, or at least much more comprehensible level. And yet it's made the universe much larger.
Right.
So that whole concept of a little fish in a big pond, we're now microbes in oceans. And yet the microbes are all just like kind of trying to clump together and be like, let's just do our thing. It's really fucking weird.
I like it. It all sounds like a good plan to me, personally.
Well, but see, I'm worried about, okay, the king of the dinosaurs is the T-Rex. He's the epitome of carnivorous dinosaur evolution. Little tiny arms. Just so he didn't get him snapped off by the guy next to him, is also eating just as hard as him. I get it, but it's also like, that's not helpful evolution.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many like potentials of what the future could look like. It's wild to think about. I think though, there's a positive and a negative to everything, right? And I think because kids can focus on like so many things at once and have that awareness, like whereas older generations had like one awareness, one news source, and like that's where all the opinions came from. Now, like a little kid with an iPhone growing up in the Bible Belt could get on TikTok and be like, oh, like I'm not a freak. There's a lot of people like me. I think that could be a positive. I wish that I had had access to like other queer people doing what they love and being themselves on TikTok, a place where they're recording real video, like that's real, and it's not just like a TV show that's all like overly produced. I think that if I had had access to that, it would have saved me a lot of like self-harm and alcoholism, and I would have felt more accepted. So I think there's positives to what's happening, but as long as I think with everything there's an extreme, and I think that hopefully, it's back to that balance thing. If people can learn how to just like not let it control them, use it as a tool, like I think that it could yield a lot of good outcomes.
I want to crack a joke right now, and it's just so inappropriate at the timing. But God, I want to crack a joke so
Oh
bad.
my God, what? Say it.
I mean, that's what they said in the mid 1800s about cocaine.
But is cocaine fully bad? I mean, I don't do it anymore because I'm a mother and I shouldn't do drugs, and so I won't. But I will say that cocaine helped me get through a lot of shitty parts of my life.
That's exactly my point. Is you look at things like, I don't know. It's so hard for me at times to just look at how negative things can be positive and how positive things can end up negative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest life lessons I've learned, especially in my relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I can do everything right and still fuck up in spectacular fashion.
Yeah.
And that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yes. It makes me think of the elements, like fire, for example. And I think this could go for any element. If you are able to control it, it could be a tool for warmth. It could be a tool to help you cook a meal and survive. But if you fuck up and you get arrogant and you drop the lighter, it could catch the whole forest on fire.
Yeah.
Or, with water, same thing. Water, if you're containing it and you're balanced, you can drink it. You can water plants, but too much water can cause floods. It's like alchemy,
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's the thing, is that people forget that nature is the ultimate winner.
Yeah, it sure is.
I mean, have we talked about that there's only 3 actual stories?
No, I don't think we talked about that.
I have always thought there are only 3 actual stories. If you take any story, movie, book, anything, there's 3. There's man against man.
Mm-hmm.
You got man fighting against, even if it's man fighting aliens, I don't give a fuck. It's man versus man. It's a conflict between entities and intelligences that are fighting each other. There's man against himself, overcoming some adversity, overcoming some idea, and that even goes into the nonfiction. There's lots of times if you read nonfiction, it really is man against himself. People are writing because they're trying to exercise their own demons.
Yeah.
In those 2, you can have a great ending or a bad ending. You can win in the end, or you can lose in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's man versus nature.
Mm-hmm.
And in man versus nature, you fucking lose every time. Nature always wins.
Yeah.
Every fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the only 3 stories. And people don't like man versus nature. They don't like those stories. Those are the ones that artists go, oh my God, it speaks to me. And everybody else goes, I fucking hated it. It was so boring, or it was so dark. And it's like, sorry, that's real.
Like 127 hours.
There you go. Like
that was like man versus man and man versus nature.
Yeah, it's literally you want to root, but at the same time, like you put yourself in that position. I'm gouging my eyes out and hoping condors eat me. I mean, that's just how that is. But like, I don't know. I have a hard time registering or recognizing in other people their inability to see those things.
Well, back to our conversation about technology. I mean, so many people are plugged into technology these days that I saw a quote recently, and it said, and I've held on to it, move at the speed of nature versus the speed of technology. Because even though like we've evolved with technology to some extent, I don't think we've fully gotten there. Just like vegans, like, and I'm sure that I'll probably get wrath for saying this, but like, we haven't evolved to the point where we can just be fully vegan. I don't think most of us, just like we haven't evolved to the point where we can just live on technology and not go back into nature. Like we're still part of nature, even though we try to stray so far from it. It's in psychology world, it's called eco-psychology, the remedy and some things that some therapists will prescribe to their patients is go out and take a fucking walk, like by a river and put your feet in it, like ground yourself, stay in nature for 12 hours and see what happens, and try not to get eaten by a bear.
Yeah. To me, like, how is that weird? Like, that's what we should do.
Tell me about it. Like sometimes I'll go out, to a park or whatever, and I even feel weird taking off my shoes and putting my feet in the grass. Like I don't want it to be weird. Like that's kind of how we ground ourselves in a way. Like people just need to get out into nature.
Yeah. Well, I have a kayak sitting in my garage. It's still not touched the water.
Dang, I want to go kayaking.
It was a bed for me for a while when I was in the van. I like flipped it upside down. It was a great like hammock. It was badass because it floated above everything else. I tied it up over the seats and everything. It was fucking awesome. But
Nice.
yeah. No, I mean, I guess I look at the idea that nature nurtures versus nature harms. I mean, you hear both sides of that, but I feel the same about living in a city or, like I've been going to Denver a lot. I fucking hate the traffic there.
Yeah.
I hate the traffic in Denver more than I hate the traffic in LA.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. Like, it's just traffic. It's just a mild nuisance in getting somewhere. Probably not going to take me that much longer one way or another, but it's that there's traffic. That's what the annoying part is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Part of it is I can't handle stupid. Like, I'm allergic to stupid now. I'm probably allergic to money too, but I'm trying not to admit that one. But I'm definitely allergic to stupid, and I'm having such a hard. I can't. There's so much dumb out there right now.
Oh no. There really is. And it's not, to play the devil's advocate, it's not people's fault. It's just that everyone's so plugged into Instagram and Facebook that they're getting information that's opinionated, or it's not real research. So there's a lot of misinformation being spread, and people, where do you even get real information from?
This one was like, I did this to my eldest the other day. Back in my day, you'd open a fucking newspaper. The news was above the fold on the front pages, and the editorials had their own section.
Wow, yeah.
The editorials were not the news. That's not news. We don't have, in my opinion, we don't have a news outlet in the United States. We don't have one. Even the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, they're slanted. They are. And I don't trust any of it.
Yeah, I like finding those underground news channels that feel non-biased.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. They feel non-biased, but are they? And that's the thing, is it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just hearing what you want to hear.
Yeah, I feel like that's life. Back to is it Gestalt psychology? Like an organism basically will just pick out the stimuli that helps complete the internal narrative.
Yeah. Yeah, we hear what we want to hear. We see what we want to see. We interpret the way that it benefits us the most. That doesn't always mean. And people talk about it all the time. I see things better because I'm on the outside of it. No, nobody's really on the outside of it.
No.
We're all in the same fucking bubble.
This is why I think aliens need to come back to Earth and like do something wild.
I think that they're scared too, because we're like the best television ever.
Did you see that meme? And it was like, I bet aliens lock their car doors when they drive past Earth.
God, I hope so. God, I hope so. If other alien races are still or have been or are keeping tabs on us, you got to think that we're literally their version of reality TV, or we're like their epitome. They're like, and if you want to understand chaos, here's this science experiment that we created millennia ago, and here's what's happened.
Oh,
like the South Park episode where they pour semen in with the seamen.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I mean. I've held that. The whole joke of Star Wars. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. The joke therefore is we're one of the fucking outworlds they forgot about. We put people there. We don't care. Fuck them.
Yeah.
We're literally the bastardized, forgotten children of the Star Wars universe. We weren't even important enough to include in the Empire or be taken over. They were just like, just let them drift. It's fine. They're so far out there, they don't matter.
We'll find them later.
Some interstellar archaeologist is going to discover us at some point and go, oh God, we can't talk to them because they're so wrong. They're so wrong. We fucked up so bad.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
We're like the feral stray cats of the universe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Raccoons. We're fucking raccoons. That's what we are. Humanity is interstellar raccoons. Digging in the trash and causing issues and fighting each other with rabies.
I want to start like a noise band called Interstellar Raccoons. Can that
I'm going to title this episode Interstellar Raccoons now.
Do
you ever talk to me and just wonder what the hell? Because I didn't know that was coming. I had no idea. Every once in a while, I just in my own life, I stop and go, where the fuck did I come up with that? Where did that come? Like I don't.
The alien sent that to you subliminally, and you just like were a channel for it to come out.
Something. God, that's. Every once in a while, I forget that I'm weird because I'm so used to it.
Well, I'm on the outside, and I can tell you that.
Oh, that was so perfectly placed. So are we ready to talk music news?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you sound so enthusiastic. Yes,
that thing I do.
That thing you do, yeah, that hobby.
That little pastime that I like to do sometimes.
So now that you've settled back in, you have decided, for the record, we're putting this out there, this is official, that you are gonna make all of your personae into one, correct?
Yes.
Artistically.
You're
still gonna, have all your college degrees and everything attached to your Christian name, but
oh my God, can you not ever say that again? Oh my God. Look, I feel like having a college degree makes you cool, right? So I met a Rasta one time in Costa Rica, and he said, everything you do, just make sure you're doing it for style. And I've held on to that. So, just it's for style.
Well, I mean, it adds. There's more letters.
Yeah. A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah, a lot of those letters don't. I still like. I'll look at people that like, especially like specialists that are like in like. I'm going to see a rheumatologist. There's all these weird letters and numbers at the ends of their degrees. I'm like, what the fuck is any of that? You're just making that shit up.
LMNOP.
Yeah, like literally, ooh, you just want to go for the world record for fucking longest name, dick.
Well, and even that gets sticky because I know like if you have a PhD in one area, like I don't know, liberal arts, or I don't even know, but like you try to call yourself a doctor in another area where you're not actually a doctor, like that's so unethical. So at the end of the day, does it really matter? Nah.
I have a hard time calling people Mr. or Mrs. Calling somebody doctor, unless I can crack a Bugs Bunny joke or something like that, or a Star Trek joke, I'm gonna have a problem anyway.
Hello, doctor. Yeah, I know.
Doctor Who, I'm good with that one.
Yeah, that one's cool. Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not. He's no longer a doctor. They should have just changed it, Wizard Strange or.
I want to make an inappropriate joke.
Do it.
What if there was an OBGYN and his name was Doctor Strange?
I mean, everybody would want to get some.
I would definitely go see them to get my birth control.
I'd go see Strange.
Who wouldn't want to go see some Strange?
There you go. Exactly. I mean, your whole marketing ploy, everything. The gynecologist to the fucking porn stars. That's what that. I mean, that's what that would be.
Oh my gosh, yes. I hope that this exists.
It needs to now. I'm hoping somebody's just like, oh, I'm changing my name. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Someone somewhere has caught drift of this conscious download that we have just received.
And they're like, oh, I'm changing my name so that I don't ever have to. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah,
Anyway,
unfortunate names are something that I really spend way too much time researching. So,
porn star names?
no, unfortunate names. Like there was a baseball star in the 70s named Dick Pole.
Did you know that there's a bird called a dick sizzle?
I do now. And I'm Googling it.
And there's this satanic nightjar. There's a
Yeah,
cool
that one I've heard of. No, the other I fell down a fucking documentary hole the other night and listened to a bunch of Scottish filmmakers talking about an ass fish in the Indian Ocean, which with their accent was just it was pure comedy, and they were being very serious, and they just every few minutes like such a bad name. Such a bad name. I hate saying it. And it was so good because they didn't want to say it, but they kept saying Osfish. There's the Osfish and
That makes me think of something I saw the other day where someone asked a rhetorical question and said, like, would you rather have to eat 100 pounds of shrimp per day or have one shrimp come out of your butthole every hour for the rest of your life? And I guess someone out there in the world literally has like this thing where a shrimp does come out of their butt like once a day.
if you have an infection or something, if you have a parasitic, I mean, that doesn't sound like a rhetorical question. That sounds like an episode of Jackass.
It blows my mind that like the guys on Jackass, like most of them are sober. I'm like, how can you attach 1,000 bees to your dong and be sober through
You know,
that?
I can say with authority that a solid 90% of the stupid shit I've done without any form of inebriation or chemical enhancement.
I respect that.
I usually it's just the let's do the stupid thing.
I respect that. I think that those
Like I stone so cold sober ate a glass the other day.
glass.
Yeah, like there was a broken glass. I'm like, give it. And I just broke the rest of it and just put it in my mouth and ate it. And everybody was just kind of like, what in the fuck?
What in the fuck?
Well, I know how to do it. So I just did it just to prove a point.
I know how to do.
I mean, normally you do it like a light bulb or something that's a lot thinner than that. But you've seen my teeth and what I can do to aluminum. So glass is easy.
Okay, well, thank you for. I just felt so many things in my throat and mouth that I didn't want to feel. And now I felt them, so thank you for helping me overcome that like psychological boundary that I had.
When my throat hurts, I want to just swallow potato chips whole.
To like scratch it?
Yeah.
I understand.
That or like go buy a new toilet brush and just just Ultra Drag 3000 on it or something.
If you're gonna do that, you have to start an OnlyFans.
So back to what we were discussing originally before it totally just
Before
derailed.
the intergalactic squirrels
Yeah.
took over.
Yeah. You are coming back musically. You've made the choice now that you've had a couple years to really mom it up and figure out that we are no longer in charge of our own schedules. The little people in our houses are. they're actually our rulers. You are going to go on everything as ritual, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have a style or idea in mind on how you're going to do that?
Like how I'm going to make everything ritual?
Well, no, because I know more that you have a bunch of music that you haven't released.
Yeah.
Tapping the inside of this, that's the beauty of this, is that I know a bunch of shit that other people don't know, that you have a bunch of music that you haven't released, but you also have a bunch of ideas in mind for where you want to head with it. So
Yeah.
I just want you to basically share your insight. Two reasons. One, I want people to know. And two, I want it recorded so I can use it against you in a couple months when you try and change your mind again.
Oh man, well, I haven't thought too much about this, but I mean, I have 3 songs that haven't been released online. And well, 4 or 5 actually. Basically all the social media at this point is changed to ritual. And I think what we're gonna do is release every song from here on out as a single. Maybe make some music videos along the way. And then go in a direction of just seeing what comes out next. I don't want to put myself in a box anymore. That's, I think, what made me not want to do music for so long, was feeling like I had to be in a box for so long. And I don't want to do that anymore. I think we're in a day and age where it's cool to like release different genres and release singles. So that's the plan. And then I want to get back to doing some covers too, releasing some covers here and there and making it about the music again.
I don't know. I'm excited to see you coming back kind of into the fold and see where this all goes. But it feels like a big speed bump just got driven over in the last like 5-6 years.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like going to LA helped me grow as an artist, and now being on the outside of LA again, I feel like I can see where I was being blocked as an artist also. So now having that awareness, I feel like at this point, also just being able to be healed from a lot of stuff that was too painful to sing about for so long. I'm at a point now where I can get through a song without crying. So I feel like it's time again. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes, and I'm excited to be working with you again and people that just appreciate where I'm at and aren't forcing me to like be something that I'm not.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, you know, I told you years ago when we were at Trailside in Denver, like the reason that I was offering you a contract is not because I expect something out of you, is because I want you to have an outlet and the support to actually do what you want.
Yeah.
And I think that resonates more now than
Yeah.
it did then.
Yeah, I think at that time I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting signed to a label. Like it was just exciting because I wanted to like it sounded cool. But now at this, and I'm sorry to say that, but like,
No, trust me, you're not the first to say it to me.
and I think that's a lot of people. Fortunately, you run a label where you actually care about your artists and don't like take advantage of people who want that label behind them. That being said, I do feel like I'm at a point in my life now where I have so much going on, and being a mom on top of everything, that having support around me, it means more than, you know, the title of, oh, I'm signed to a label. Like
I mean, the thing is, we live in a day and age where you don't need a label.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have an attorney or a good manager or a good agent, you don't need a label. What I believe in as a label, and what we've tried to do since we started the label in 2001, was just give opportunities to people that, fuck, if all you need from us is the paperwork, cool. Being humble and being humbled in this industry in particular has taught me more than anything I've ever, any performance, any tour, or anything. It's just the humility that you learn. That's what matters. And that's when you start actually looking at each other and going, okay, we're doing this together.
Yeah.
Because that world is so small.
Yeah.
You start to lean on each other. I mean, how many people have you met in the last, maybe not the first time you moved to LA, but the second time you moved to LA, from then to now, how many artists, musicians, producers have you met that have no idea that you're a musician yourself?
I would say half and half, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's probably about the same in your day-to-day life from your friends and family.
Yeah.
That's a humbling thing. Music is about honesty, integrity, and expression. And most of the business side of that takes those three things and throws them out the window.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure that other artists can relate to this, but you know, in my early 20s, I was so obsessed with like people knowing who I was. Like I wanted people to know who I was. I wanted to be recognizable. I wanted to be famous. And now I don't know if being a mom has changed me or just like getting burnt out on that changed me, but I'm to a point in my life where like I love having somewhat of a private life. I love people not knowing like every detail of my love life. I love people not knowing, I don't, not every detail of my family life. I like having that element. I'm not in it anymore for that recognition. Even to do this podcast with you, I delayed it because I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. Like, I don't know if I want people to hear my inner thoughts. Because I have boundaries now, which I didn't have before. But
It's just all of a sudden you turn around and go, shit, what's actually important?
yeah.
And in music, the priority in music is the music.
Yeah.
God forbid, you know?
Yeah. And I think like when you have that, when a person, an artist has that element of like, this is my art over here that I'm showing you, and then over here, like this is where I close the doors and I do my life. Like I think that's how really good art is made. I don't think really good art comes from being in the center of the limelight all the time. Because like, what can you really write about at that point if you're constantly just a zoo animal being looked at? Like I know for when I was touring and I was like on stage every night, I had nothing to write about. Like there's nothing to write about. There's no
People don't
relation.
really, being on tour is just survival.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that until you've done it.
Yeah.
I remember that first time that you got kidnapped for the weekend and I had to come pick you up in Durango
Yeah.
and we drove back. Just you had this shell-shocked look of just what in the fuck did we just do? That was 4 days.
Yeah.
And you were like, I kind of want to do that forever, but that was not what I thought it was. It's like, there you go.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it and I think it's that I think everybody would love to be I want to be a gold miner, I want to be an investment banker, and it just sounds so easy, and so they romanticize it and this idea of what it is to be these things.
Yeah.
Being a truly good actor is painful because you become the character, and if you get that role where it's it's a psychopath or it's someone who's dying, or you put yourself in that position, you feel those emotions, you don't get over that.
Yeah.
Just flip a switch.
Seriously, talk about countertransference. And I think that's a danger with a lot of like professions, is not becoming your alter ego. And I did that before. And I think that's why I needed to take a break. I even heard I was watching a docuseries about that porn star Belle Knox last night, the one that was at Duke University, and um she was a porn star, and she was doing a little like question and answer, like when do you quit porn? And the answer was like when you start to become your alter ego. And she's like, I think that in retrospect, like that means like, don't lose yourself with all of these like attaching yourself to different professions.
And that's becoming more and more common, especially in porn and in dancing and things, where people are becoming like, it's not, oh, I work at a strip club or I'm a dancer at a strip club. It's like, I'm a dancer. I am a stripper. I am a porn star. You become what you are.
Yeah.
And that's some very medieval thinking.
Yeah.
And it's empowering on one hand, but it's also damaging on the other. And I think that that's something that people do miss.
Right, because I don't know if you can just completely cover up the parts of yourself you don't like by creating a character that isn't those things. Like I think that the wholeness and the balance comes into play when you're like, okay, like I'm not a perfect human. There's a lot of places I fall short, and I have this character that I play, but I'm okay with myself at the same time.
Yeah. Okay, what in every comic book that ever existed, what are the more dramatic moments? Is it the big fight with the big bad boss? Or is it, Peter Parker struggling with, I'm Spider-Man, but I'm also Peter. I'm trying to go to school and I'm failing because I'm saving the fucking city. Batman is a great example. Bruce Wayne's a prick. People don't even really like him. He's just really rich.
Yeah.
I don't really like Batman because they're pretty sure he's going to kill everybody at some point. But they each have their role. And the dichotomy is the actual theme of the story. Who are you? Which person are you?
Yeah.
That's what makes the villain so much more interesting, especially in DC, because they're always the villain.
Mm-hmm.
In DC, the villains don't have alter egos or pretend to be somebody else. They're just who they are all
Right.
the time. They're not pretending to be anything else other than just a maniacal piece of shit. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know who they are and they own it. It's the
Mhm.
superheroes in DC that are kind of like, I don't know who to be. Like, even as a kid, I remember thinking Superman was stupid. Like, you're Superman. Why do you care about? You got to work in a newspaper so you can understand what's going on in the world. You can literally hear everything. Fly up and listen, you dumbass. Like, that's your job. Well, how am I going to feed myself? You're fucking Superman. Figure it out. You live in an ice castle in the middle of nowhere and you seem to be fine for years at a time. You probably need to eat one meal every 20 years. Write that into the story, not, I've got to go do this so that I can save Lois again.
Yeah. I mean, I could go in a whole nother conversation about that. Like, why does the villain get to be their full selves all the time? Why does that have to be a villain character trait?
I can answer that. I can
Okay.
answer that very, very easily.
Okay.
Because I, being the person who I am with my checkered past or colorful past, as we want to call it, I've realized that it is much, much easier to make a living, a very good living, being a scumbag.
Oh yeah.
Doing it legitimate, living a clean life and doing what you're supposed to do, 2, 3, 4 times harder.
Yeah.
I work 80, 90 hours a week minimum just to pay the fucking bills.
Yeah.
That's not me buying glamorous vacations or sports cars or any of that shit. Hell, my car is still sitting without an engine after 2 years because I have to put the business and my kids and any number of different things like braces and things that come out of nowhere that you can't anticipate.
Yeah.
That becomes more important. I work my ass off. I could go sell, I could sell meth easy as hell. Sell coke easy as hell and make way more money. Go steal cars and go do all the dumb debauchery shit that I know how to do.
Yeah.
That I'm honestly pretty good at.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Right.
So which is the real me? The person who knows it's easier to just give into that and live it and own it, or the person who fights every day not to be that person? And that's why the villain gets to be who they are, because it's easy.
Yeah.
But where does that always end up? Prisoner
Prison.
dead. Prisoner dead. That's where every time we're in asylum.
Trash can world.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. And that's why. That I've spent days, literally days, thinking about that process. From the time I was in middle school to now, it still pops up every few days. Like, God, it's so much easier to just be a piece of shit in this world and not care.
Yeah.
And it is. Is it rewarding? Monetarily, maybe. Not in the rest of it.
Yeah, for sure. I've thought about that because being the weird person that I am, I think of things in terms of like energy, and I think all that money is a physical manifestation of, what we have called value, and what we put out, we get back. And I feel like if you're getting money back that's being made in a way that's not actually benefiting your soul, is that money really enjoyable?
A lot of people equate money or the amount of money you make with success.
Yeah.
And I know plenty of people who are broke all the time that are far more successful than people who are sitting in their multi-million-dollar mansions. Or like, one of my favorite Reddits to ever look at is the Reddit. There's a whole thread and a whole theme of people asking, like, not being wealthy, but being around the ultra wealthy. What are your weird experiences? I love reading those because I remember building multi-million-dollar homes for people in Aspen and Vail for them to go there 2 days a year. Spending $19 million on a house that is empty 363 days out of the year.
Yeah.
and spending thousands in upkeep and housekeeping and plumbing and electrical just to keep it ready in case they decide they want to go have a weekend in Aspen or a weekend in Vail.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's, to them, that's success. I used to subscribe to that to a large degree when I was very young, and I grew out of it by the time I graduated high school. But I used to be the kid who was like jealous of the kid who had the nice car.
Yeah.
Mom and dad bought you an NSX. Mom and dad bought you a Corvette or a Camaro, and I'm over here in my fucking 1989 Toyota that I barely can afford.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's another thing. Having a kid has made me realize, like, when I found out I was pregnant, I think I had like $800 to my name, and I was like, oh, how the fuck am I gonna make this work? And like, it's all worked out, and I feel like what I've learned is that the kid doesn't give a shit about money.
You spend a lot of money on presents for your kids, they're still gonna play with the box.
Exactly. And I feel like when, my daughter has no shortage of toys, and honestly, we've put probably 3/4 of them away because it overstimulates her, and she's a lot happier and calm with just like 10 toys around.
And it's a lot less clutter to pick up, let's be honest.
Yeah, and I think like yeah, and if your kid's fed and you have a roof over their head and there's love in the house, I think that's a lot. That's richness, in my opinion.
It is. It's absolutely. And I mean, that sounds really corny and really cheesy, but it's absolutely true. And it goes beyond having kids or having, like, there's moments. I'm never one of those people. I don't get jealous of, I don't really get jealous, which is a weird thing. I probably should more than I do. But I don't really get jealous of like my friends when they've got like a great relationship, or when one of my exes is living a better life than they were with me, or I'm jealous of the time, the experiences. When I see my friends go do something really fun, I'm like, God, I wish I could do that with them. I wish
Yeah.
I don't, not even just witness it. If you want to post your kids, you want to post, and I'm not one of those people that says you need to post everything, and I'm not one of those people that says you need to, especially negative shit like, oh, poor me, my boyfriend left me. It's the 8th guy in a row. There's a theme here. Like, I am that guy too, but if you're taking a moment to share your life with me, and it's something like, I have one friend, she gets a lot of help because she goes out on the weekends, and all you see is like the ubiquitous I'm gonna cheers this, or you see like the fancy 8 drinks in the middle of the table or whatever, and that's what you see. I love seeing that because I know that during the week she works harder than anybody else I know at a job that would suck the life out of most people. Literally, her job is to prepare people for death. She runs a hospice center.
Wow.
And she's the person who every family, every individual that is in their care. She deals with every single person. So when she goes out and has a drink on the weekend and hangs out with her girlfriends or her cousins are in town and she goes dancing, fuck yeah, am I behind that? 100%.
Yeah.
Because she's actually living a real life.
Right.
And I don't get why people have such a hard time with that.
I don't either. Like, just to trail off of that, I don't know. I'm a big Madonna fan. And there's a biopic coming out that she's directing. And there's a lot of shit about it being said because they're like, well, how, oh my God, Madonna's gonna direct her own biopic. Like, she's just gonna make it look good. I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, she has the autonomy to do whatever she wants to do.
She's earned the right to kind of do what she wants, for one. Probably the most underrated, most powerful woman in music, in all honesty.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, if I were Madonna, I would not let anyone else tell my story.
I mean, I have mad respect for Cher, Tina Turner. There's a lot of just really good, Diana Ross. I mean, there's a lot of greats. But Madonna literally looked at it not just from the aspect of being a musician, but the businesswoman in her, the actress in her. She really went, I'm gonna do all of it the best of my abilities.
Yeah.
And kind of doesn't apologize for the mistakes other than, hey, I learned something, I won't do it again.
Right.
She's earned the right to kind of do what she wants.
I agree.
Yeah. I know a lot of people, the Queen, when that came out, people were like, oh my God, that almost got Freddie Mercury isn't the great person I thought he was. And oh my God, he did all those drugs and he did all that. Yeah, and he was still a phenomenal human being. I
Exactly.
love that movie.
Oh my God, me too. That and Rocket Man was really
I was
good
just
too.
saying, next one to say Elton John story that is very brutally honest, and I really respect a lot of those stories when they're told and they're told honestly. I think that it opens a lot of eyes. For one, it humanizes people, and that needs to happen. We tend to sensationalize, especially athletes, way too much.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. I mean no disrespect, but the fact that a person who can hit a ball really far makes 10 times what a person who saves lives does really upsets me.
Hmm.
I mean, it does. It really upsets me. I feel like there's a huge chasm in the way people are appreciated in this world, especially in the United States.
I agree.
And I think that that's something. So when you humanize and bring somebody back to a level of, you know, they're going to make mistakes. They're angry. They're frustrated. They're sad. They're allowed to go through these things. Um, some of my favorite models, musicians, things right now, the people who are just completely honest, like, hey, I'm having a shitty day. Send me pictures of cats. Or, hey, my skin looks like shit and I'm required by my management to post a video today. So here's my zit cream. I love that shit. I think
Yeah.
that's awesome. When you own the existence that you've created for yourself, and Madonna is an example. Christina Aguilera. A lot of people are fat shaming her and stuff like that right now. And I'm like, she still sings like a motherfucker. Who gives a shit?
And she's probably happy and
Yeah.
she probably feels good and she
Yeah.
gets to enjoy food.
Yeah.
And
Christina Aguilera, Kelly Clarkson. People want to give Britney Spears shit for being crazy. She's earned the right to be nuts right now.
yeah,
She's earned it. And I don't know.
I agree. If I have like one message that I just would love to preach to everyone, it's like just if no one's hurting others or themselves, leave them the fuck alone and let them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like literally that's it.
Or stand aside and clap.
Yeah,
Applaud the people who are living life and not. It's not just life isn't always about leading other people or leading the best example. Sometimes it's about not affecting anyone in a negative way, and that is just as important.
yeah,
Sometimes just stepping aside and just not creating waves, not creating ripples, letting the water flow past and do its job.
yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget that or never learned that.
Yeah, and it's, I have so much schooling under my belt now, and my brain's like everything's a nail and I'm a hammer at this point.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not everyone's fault because no one teaches in school like how to self-regulate or how to respond to triggers calmly or not react. Like we're not taught that. So anytime someone's living in their truth and it triggers someone, I mean, it's hard to just be like, okay, this is fine. I'm gonna let them be them.
Yeah. We're not taught how to deal with trauma. We're not taught ethics, not properly, be
No,
it work ethic to actual ethos and credence. We're not taught these things. We learn them and it's supposed to be our family's jobs.
right.
The family dynamic over the last 35 to 40 years has just completely gone to shit. So what are we learning from? Television?
Yeah.
God, I hope not, but that's probably true.
Hmm.
I just,
Media, television.
yeah, the image of what we're supposed to see versus what the reality is from those.
Yeah.
Like, more people should learn how to learn. 'Cause fuck.
Learn how to learn.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
I
what
could,
school's supposed to do is teach us how to learn, and it doesn't. It's ineffective.
yeah.
Because the teachers are babysitters now.
No, well, teachers are what?
Teachers are babysitters now. They're not teachers.
Oh, yeah.
Teach them
Yeah,
to keep up with the standardization, do the tests, and make sure our kids have somewhere to go so I can go to work during the day.
I know. Yeah, I could, that is another topic. We should have like a whole other episode on that.
I actually want to get an episode where I get a bunch of single parents and then on one side of the room and a bunch of like actual like sets of parents on the other side and just have them discuss how different it is.
Oh, yeah.
I've wanted to do that for a while. Like that's one of the ideas that I was just like, God, that would be so interesting because I've been both. I've been a parent with complete support and I've been the single dad. and I've also been the co-parenting dad. They're very different. All three of them are very, very different.
I can only imagine.
Especially with a kid with Down syndrome, it changes everything too.
Oh my
But so it
gosh.
gives me a fairly unique perspective. But I really like that idea of having people not necessarily debate, but go, well, here's what I do to get by my day to day, because I have so many, particularly single moms, who go out and
Mhm.
work and do what they're supposed to do and take care of shit and pay the bills and do all this other stuff. And they end up actually inadvertently supporting the dads who are like, well, fine, you're fucking handling it. I don't need to.
Mm.
And that's become this huge commonality in my life lately. And I'd love to get those people in a room with parents who are actual parents in a couple who are doing it together, and just so they can hear the difference, how it's supposed to
Yeah,
be, of how it works and what doesn't work.
right.
Because as I'm sure you're very aware, there are some things where you just want to choke the shit out of your partner. Like, that is not how you do that.
I know. I'm really grateful for the partner I have because he's a really good dad. He's really hands-on and he's very patient. Um, I honestly, we've obviously haven't had a perfect relationship, but I think we could have thrown in the towel many times and we didn't. And the cool thing about my partner is he goes, I mean, not anymore, but he went to therapy before we met. He knows how to own his shit. He knows how to not put blame on others. And like, that's the cool thing. I feel like very fortunate that I have a partner like him, but I know that not a lot of people do, and that makes me sad.
There's not a lot of people like that out there.
I know I really lucked out. I
I mean,
really,
there's not a lot of people like that.
yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, when I met him and he was like, I go to therapy, like I told some of my friends, quote unquote, that in LA at the time, like, well, you don't know what he goes to therapy for. Like, you better watch out. And it freaked me out. A lot of things about him freaked me out. And then I realized like there's no shame in going to therapy, and you want people in your life that own their mental health. Like that's the people you want in your life. So I feel really lucky. Yeah, parenting with someone else is like taking home that egg from school with your lab partner and making sure it doesn't crack. And then you do that over and over again for 18 years.
Yeah. I never did that. I don't know. I think I was the only one that was in those classes. I never had to do anything like that. And I always thought it was really strange. And then I realized years later that I think everybody was just really scared that I would just eat the kid. I think all the teachers and all the students kind of went, we can't give him something that he can cook.
Oh my God, why am I not surprised?
Yeah. I mean, it took me years to realize that, but because I am that parent.
Yeah, I love parents that are, you know, still hold on to that childish spirit. I think that's so important. And it helps us be level with our kids. I mean, damn. I think my daughter, who's only 15 months old, she looks at me sometimes like, you're a joke. But
And that happens. Like, see, I never baby talk to my kids. I don't know how to do it. I mean, I do
come
because
on, just
when I'm
try.
being,
Come
when
on.
I'm when I'm being an asshole to people, I'll do it to them. When somebody's like, especially drunks, it's like my favorite thing in the world. When you're really drunk and you're really being stupid, I'll start baby talking. Oh, and I love that shit. But to my kids, I have a hard time doing it because it feels like I'm just belittling their intelligence. Like, just because you're small doesn't mean you don't recognize that I'm speaking to you. You may not
Yeah.
understand the words, but maybe the inflection or something. I talk to dogs and cats. I do. I'm that guy. I talk to animals and things like as if they're going to respond. But I talk to myself in like 5 different voices too. So I think that's just naturally who I am. But with my kids in particular, like I didn't do the baby talk thing. I don't do that. But because of that, I've also made the commitment that I would never, like if they ask me a question, I'm going to give them the answer, even if it's something they shouldn't necessarily know or hear.
I respect that
I mean,
because if they're not learning it from you, they're gonna go learn it from someone else and they might not get the best answer. And I'm sure that you've built a really good trust with your kids by being transparent with them.
so what music can I put on this without making you mad? Because I have all of your music.
Mm, I don't know. What do you think?
I kind of want to do snippets of the music that you haven't released yet, so that there's just that little tiny bit out there that people go, wait, what?
Do you have the one? Oh, I can't even remember the names to my
Hey, I
album.
suck at song titles, so I'm the wrong person, but I know yours. I have had your stuff up on my desktop on this computer that I'm recording this with for 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
The synopses for the videos, the way I want to remix them if we were to do different dance versions versus metal versions, all that. And I have notes upon notes upon notes about all the ways we're doing the cover songs and stuff that I'm going to be sending to you.
Okay. Do you have Lost a Little?
Yep.
That's the one I think I would like.
That's the one that the video is going to make people really upset, but really relate to.
Yes.
All your Hollywood frenemies.
They probably like don't even remember me at this point.
Oh, they do. You make an impact. I know people that met you in high school and just remember the cheerleader version of you, and they've never been able to escape that. So
That's so gross.
you make an impact.
Oh my gosh, I think there's a yearbook picture of me somewhere wearing a cheerleading uniform, sitting in my orchestra class playing violin.
Well, I know that I'm going to go look for something.
That could be the cover art for this episode.
We should just reenact it.
Yeah.
Okay, what we should do is we should put you in a cheerleading uniform playing violin, and you're going and sitting with a bunch of kindergartners trying to do some kind of recital or something.
Oh my gosh. You can be whatever you want when you grow up.
It's going to be amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a horrible person. Why does anybody tolerate me?
Because you're a joy.
Life's never boring.
No, it's not. I
I'm
don't know how anyone could ever be bored.
Yeah. Well, you've got real big person shit to do, I'm sure.
Today is actually like my self-care day, so that's kind of nice.
My self-care days occur when I'm in so much pain I can't get off the couch. So it's like once every like 3 or 4 years.
Oh my God.
It's literally my body going, "You're gonna pause, bitch."
Yeah, I mean, by self-care day, I mean it's like the day that I get to catch up on things that I need to catch up on. So, and I shower on Thursdays.
There you go. That's an important one. See, I'm lucky because I don't sleep. I actually get a lot of shit done when everybody else is passed the fuck out. So
I would try that, but I'm afraid that I would spiral into like a psychotic episode.
the last time I know of you not sleeping very well, it was during the all the QAnon shit, and you were going so far into all the different conspiracy theories that you were like arguing with yourself. So I don't recommend it for you.
I'm not gonna go there again.
It was entertaining watching you argue with yourself, but your lack of sleep was a bad thing for you.
It was pretty unhealthy.
Yeah. Amusing. Highly amusing.
Ugh.
But bad.
I was determined that Los Angeles was gonna explode, and that I don't even want to tell you what I thought was gonna.
Oh no, I remember some of it. I actually remember sitting in a room and just writing notes down, like, holy shit, she's losing her mind, but she's also finding her mind, and what do I do with this? And it's fun.
Well, I'd like to let everyone know I'm in a very healthy place now mentally. And that's
That's the fucking bumper sticker right there.
I've done a lot of therapy. And I don't do drugs anymore.
Yeah, it's amazing how the combination of those things, the
Oh my
lack
God.
of substance abuse and actually speaking your mind, and people give me because I don't go to therapy anymore. I don't simply because I own my demons in a way that I'm kind of disgustingly comfortable with.
Well, that's the point of therapy.
Yeah, I mean, I just have figured out like what's wrong, and I know my triggers, and I know my reactions, and I know how to separate myself and what I need to do, and I know my limitations. Mostly, the physical thing is still getting to me, but we'll see. I think everyone in this country at around age 22 should go to therapy for 6 months.
Yeah.
Every person.
Yeah.
Balanced, unbalanced, criminal, perfect. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if you're an Eagle Scout. Every person would benefit from therapy for a minimum of 6 months at that turning point where you're no longer just a raving sociopath of teenage hormones and actually trying, because most people 19, 20, 21, they play house, they pretend to be grown-ups, but they don't really know. When you hit 22, 23, 24, it's when the reality of insurance and housing and job market, that stuff kicks in. Having someone who at the end of the day does not actually impact your life outside of the back and forth
Mhm.
is so valuable.
Yeah.
There's a reason that we vent our shit to bartenders in airport bars. I'm
Yeah.
never gonna fucking see them again.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes it's good to just, most of therapy is just letting a person talk, and then once it's out there, pointing out the shit they said.
Yeah.
We all know what's wrong with us. We all know where our damage is. We all know what the issues are. We just don't want to fucking look at it. And somebody going, wait, but you said this, and this. And we go, fuck! I knew it the whole time.
Right. Yeah. And
That's
I think,
breakthrough.
yeah. And I think doing that before 25 when the brain is like kind of fully developed would be really beneficial.
Yeah. If you ingrain that ability rather than the shame of, I don't want to be a burden,
Yeah.
and make it a telling people that at the end of the day, you're paying this person to bitch at them.
Yeah.
You take it to its basest form, and I don't mean to make it sound like it's a negative thing. I respect the profession, but when you are a therapist, you're being paid to deal with people at their worst.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's so expensive.
Yeah, to literally vent what kind of scum we all are and what
Yeah.
our traumas are, and hear all the bad shit we've been dealing with. And in some instances, just deal with really stupid people who just don't see the fact that they've made the same 11 mistakes because they're dating the same guy in 11 different bodies.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the daily struggle.
You can't turn a pickle back into a cucumber.
But you can fake it. I like that, but I don't like that.
Don't try to think about how to turn a pickle back into a cucumber.
That's the rest of my day. How can I make this happen? In what way?
If you figure it out, let me know. I'd love
I
to
will.
know.
Yeah. It's going to be really, really fucked up and involve like interdimensional travel, but
Well, that's the only way, I think.
yeah. But I'll have a whole. I'll write it out, the math and all that, figuring it out. There's an afternoon I'm never going to get back.
Well, the choice is yours.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with it. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go so you can go do like laundry and stuff, I'm guessing.
That's exactly what I'm gonna go. How did you know?
I remember. And I also have young drunk friends that I still kind of have to do some of these things for. So it's just a nasty new cycle is what it's turned into. But now knowing when laundry needs to be done and remembering, oh shit, I've been meaning to put these socks away for 6 weeks. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I remember. I still deal with it some, mostly because I'm lazy. But
Good times.
yep. Well, we will get you. This is actually, I'm going to try and release this here in a couple days so I can start the whole season off. So I will be linking you, and we'll get it all done.
Okay.
What are 2 songs that you just can't stop listening to lately?
Right now?
Yep.
Oh God, this is embarrassing.
Good.
Okay, one is called First Class by Jack Harlow. If you want to like manifest some royalty into your life, just listen to that on repeat every morning. And then this song called Stick Season, and that's kind of like a bluegrass-y song, very sad. Go cry. And yeah, those are my songs.
That's fair. All right. Well, you go do your shit, and I will talk to you soon. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Why
Actually,
is
text me your address. I need that.
Okay, why is your mannequin moving?
Because there's a dog back there. She plays with it.
I was like, dude, the whole time you didn't tell me that was like a cyborg behind you.
Oh yeah, no, there's a dog. She plays with my other one's right over here, and she plays with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. She thinks that if she lays at their feet, they're gonna pet her or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna go pee because I've been holding it for like an hour.
Okay, we'll go pee.
Turn that pickle into a cucumber.
I'm seriously I'm gonna do some work on that. I'm gonna go grab a mirror and just write all over it, all Will Hunting style.
Okay, well, I will text you my address.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay, love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
Turn the lights down low. In my body